Today I'll be talking about my top 5 favorite mascaras.
Go, go. No, 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 no. No mascara. Go. Bad Gabrielle. All right. What's up, guys? Ryan here from Mud Gunner, and today it is viewer build episode 15, and it was twin builds. So we had a lot of great builds this week, guys. I'm very happy with it. So thank you guys for participating. And the theme for next week is going to be shotgun. So give you guys a head start on that. If you're looking to participate in next week's video, check the description down below. I tell you guys exactly how to get in, but I'll also tell you at the end of the video. So yeah, with that being said, before we show you guys the builds, I'm sorry that a lot of these videos are getting up very late. I do have a personal life. I work every single day like a normal job, and then I do these YouTube videos, but they are getting posted kind of late. So I'm sorry about that. I'm trying my best, but you'll notice they're fairly long videos. They're not like 5-minute, one and done videos. So I'm trying to make them good for you guys. I don't want to rush through it, but yeah, that just makes it so that they're getting posted kind of late. All right, let's get into this week's builds, and you guys are gonna like these ones. All right, guys, like always, we are gonna go in the order that I got your submissions in, and this first one comes from Jimmy, and he said he bent the rules here a little bit, but this is his Beretta quadruplets, which that's okay. We got a few guns here, and they all look sweet, so I'm gonna go through what he has. Up top, we have a little sub gun. That is the Beretta PMX in 9mm. I've seen these, but I've never got to shoot one, but it looks cool. And it's a short build list. He's got Magpul MBUS 3 flip-up iron sights on there. He's got an EOTech EXPS 2.0, and then he's waiting on a Form 1, so he's going to SBR it, put a stock on it, I assume. And yeah, again, these are cool. I've only seen pictures. I don't think I've ever held one. Maybe I've seen them at SHOT Show, but it looks awesome. From looking at the picture, I think it'd be really cool if they would have done a 3-lug adapter on the barrel or a 3-lug mount, because it definitely has the space for it, and I really like 3-lugging my subgun setups. But yeah, that one looks cool. Let me know down below what you think of it, Jimmy, how it shoots and all that, but thank you for sharing that one. And then going from left to right, so starting on the left side, we have a Beretta 92 GTS Launch Edition, and then he's waiting on an optic plate. I don't know what GTS stands for, and I don't know what the Launch Edition means, but looking at the picture, it does look nice, and yeah, thank you for sharing that one. Next up in the middle, we have a Beretta 92X Performance Defensive, also waiting on the optics plate. So I've gotten to hold a couple of their steel frame Berettas, and I'm pretty sure that's what this is, an all steel Beretta. And they handle pretty nicely. I haven't got to shoot one yet, just play with them in store. But yeah, that one looks nice. And then on the right, he has a Beretta 92XI SAO. So that's a single action only. These are pretty sweet. I haven't shot these either. There's a lot of cool Beretta 92 guns out there nowadays, but yeah, that one's looking good. It's got the Beretta muzzle brake, a Go Gun gas pedal, CG. I don't know what the CG stands for, but yeah, Go Gun gas pedal, and then a Steiner MPS red dot on there. And yeah, other than that, that's a very cool collection of Berettas, so thank you for sharing, Jimmy. Next up, we have a couple submissions from DJ, and yeah, his first one here, he says it's Taiwanese twins. So I'm going to go through his build list. So the build list on the top rifle, it's got an A2 bird cage on there. It's a T91 A1 upper, a random surplus carry handle, and then it's on a Palmetto State Armory Stealth lower with a CMMG lower parts kit, a Palmetto buffer tube and carbine buffer and spring, and then a Magpul MOE stock. And I'm not too familiar with these guys, so yeah, he says Taiwanese twins, so I assume that's a Taiwan upper. I don't know if the whole upper's made there or whatnot. Comment down below if you know, but it looks pretty nice. And it looks like it's probably piston driven if I had to guess, but again, I'm not too familiar with that setup. And then the bottom gun, it was a build with random spare parts, JP Enterprise 3-prong flash hider, a T91 A1 upper as well. It's got a T91 M-LOK handguard, a Strike Industries Havoc launcher on the bottom, so that's a 37mm launcher. It's got a Vortex Strikefire 2 on there, and a nameplate mount. And then the lower is a Battle Arms lower, CMMG lower parts kit, a CMC cassette trigger, a PSA buffer tube, carbine buffer, and spring. And then that one's got a Magpul CTR stock. So yeah, the twins here would be in the uppers. And again, I'm not too familiar with them, but they do look nice. So thank you for sharing those ones, DJ. And then he also sent us a couple of AKs here. Says AKs hold a special place in his heart. I do think AKs are awesome. I like collecting them myself. So the top one is a Yugoslavian M70B1 with a 1988 date stamped on the trunnion. And then it's also stamped Yugoslavia, which is cool. And then the bottom one is a Yugoslavian M70AB2 with a 1984 date stamped in the trunnion. And then both have the grenade launcher gas block front sights, flip up night sights, and a 1.5 millimeter thick receiver. And then the only thing I've done to them is thrown the ugly plastic furniture away that came with them and added the wood. And yeah, they look great. I like those a lot. I actually have a Yugoslavian stamped AK as well. Mine's the Zastava 64, but it looks to have the same stamp that you have on yours. Yeah, those look great. So thank you for sharing, DJ. This next one comes from L Oriole, and these are legit twins, like the exact same gun. So they're gonna have the exact same build list. He says, my literal twin gun build, one is for duty and one is for backup duty. And this makes sense. A lot of my friends do this as well. So when you have a duty gun, if you are involved in a shooting, that gun gets held up pending investigation. Now, a lot of times, as long as you're cleared, which most guys are, you'll get it back, but you need something in the meantime. So a lot of law enforcement officers will do this where they have two of the exact same gun. So again, going through his build list, these are the exact same on both of them. They have Nomad Defense frames, a Radian Weapons barrel in comp, a Zev Citadel slide. It's got Angry Bear Arms iron sights, a Holosun 507 comp in green, Surefire X300, Combat Precision mag release, Vickers slide stop, and a Johnny Glock Vex trigger. And yeah, those look awesome. I'm not too familiar with all the components of that, so I have no first-hand experience, but they look great, and I bet they shoot nice comped. And yeah, thank you for sharing those, El Oriole. Hopefully you never have to use your backup, but it's good that you have one. All right, guys, for this next one, please keep it in your pants. I know this is a lot of money here and a lot of cool guns. We only have the one picture to work with, but this comes from Alan. And he said, could not decide on twins, so I gave you quintuplets. And yeah, for those of you that know, you probably already know, but for those of you that don't, let's get into it. So I don't have any builds on these. These are just the guns. Starting from right to left, we have an Atlas Gunworks Erebus. It looks like it has a mod light on the bottom and a Trijicon SRO. And then we have the Atlas Gunworks EOS, as in the gym. And it looks like it has a Trijicon RMR HD, I believe, and then an X300 on there from Surefire. Next up in the middle, we have the Atlas Gunworks Apollo with an X300 by Surefire, and that looks like an Aimpoint Acro. Next up, we have an Atlas Gunworks Artemis with an X300 and an Acro as well. And then lastly, we have the Atlas Gunworks NYX, or NYX, it's NYX, Covert Gold Edition. He did say starting from right to left, but the last one on the list was the Covert Gold Edition. So if I mess those up, I'm sorry. I'm not too familiar with Atlas, but they do make amazing stuff from what I hear. But yeah, the last one, which I assume was the far left one, is the Atlas Gunworks NYX. But yeah, it also says Covert Gold Edition, but the right one's the only one with gold. So if I'm wrong, correct me. I'm just reading it the way it was sent to me. But yeah, for those of you that don't know, Atlas 2011 pistols are insane, or the double stack 9mm 1911s. I think starting price on these things is around $5 and goes up from there, $5,000. But yeah, that is an awesome picture. Thank you for sharing, Alan. I'm sorry if I mixed them up, but I just went off the list that you sent me. So if I'm right, then I'm right. Just it's confusing to have gold edition, but have the right one be gold. So thank you for sharing again. I am very jealous, and yeah, those are sweet. This next one comes from Roberto, and it looks like we have an awesome set of HKs here. Those are great pictures, by the way. Thank you. These are the pictures I'm looking for. And yeah, so twin HKs. The top one is an HK SP5 SBR, so it's basically the MP5. They just call it the SP5. And I'm going to go through his build list. He has a Dead Air Wolfman suppressor. That's a modular suppressor, so if you notice, the front end is detachable, so you can make the suppressor shorter, which is awesome. He's running a Magpul SL handguard. He's got an Emissary Development Handbrake Mini, and that's M-LOK mounted on there. He's got a Zenith pick rail on top. And then he's got a Vortex Crossfire red dot, and he's got an A2 fixed stock on there. And yeah, that thing looks great. I like it a lot. And next up, he has an HK VP9 Tactical, and that one's running a Silencerco Osprey 9 suppressor, and then an Olight Balder Pro R. Yeah, that is a sweet setup. And it looks like his VP9's also cut out for a red dot, so he could add a red dot to that if he wants. But yeah, I definitely dig that. So thank you for sharing, Roberto. These next guns come from Fred, and it looks like he has a couple twin Tavors here from IWI. So on the left, he has a IWI Tavor 7, which is chambered in 308. And then on the right, he has the X95 556 Tavor. And then on the Tavor 7, he is running a Vortex Viper PST 1-6x24. And he has it in a Vortex mount And then on the X95, he is running a Vortex Venom 1-6x24, also in a Vortex mount. He's got Magpul RVG grips on both of them, which is the vertical grip. He's running a Magpul MS4 Gen 2 sling, which I assume it's on the 308, but I don't see a picture of it here. He just has it in his build list. And then on his X95, he is running a Viking Tactic padded QD sling. And then right now he is currently waiting on a B&T SRBS 556 and 762 suppressor. They're just currently waiting in NFA jail. And he hasn't decided on lights for these yet, but yeah, they're both still in progress. Light-wise, I like Surefire, I like Mod Light, and I like Cloud Defensive Lights. Yeah, I think any three of those would be really great on there. If you're trying to stay more like budget-friendly, Stream Lights are great too, the Protex. So yeah, let me know if you guys have any recommendations for them, but thank you for sharing those, Fred. This next one comes from Mike, and it looks like we got some triplets here. These are looking good. So these are all Russian Veprs, so that's pretty sweet. From top to bottom, he has a Vepr 54R, so that is, I believe, their Sporter model. That's why it's got the wood furniture on it, and he's waiting on an optic for it. He didn't say which one, it just says optics incoming. But yeah, that's basically a modern Dragunov. I don't think they're the same operating system at all. Don't quote me on that, but it shoots the same round as a Dragunov, and it's made in Russia. So Vepr 54R up top. In the middle, he has a Vepr 1V in 556, which that is sweet. And he is running a RS Regulate scope mount, which is on the side. We can't really see the picture very well, but that's how he has the optic mounted. And then he is running a Primary Arms 1-6 BDC scope on there. And other than that, it's just a stock Vepr. He has the very long mag, which I believe that's a 45 round mag. But yeah, it looks great. And then on the bottom, he has the Vepr 12 gauge, so AK chambered in 12 gauge. And he's running a Burris Fastfire red dot on there. And he has an unknown muzzle brake, which that thing looks pretty intense. But yeah, those are sweet triplets. Thank you for sharing, Mike. I really like the Veprs. I have one Vepr myself. I have the 762x39, which looks like you need that one. But yeah, those are awesome. Thank you for sharing. This next one comes from Daniel, and yeah, it looks like we got a pair of SIGs here. These are both 2-stamp items, so suppressed SBRs. Up top, he has the SIG Rattler, and then on the bottom, he has the SIG MPX. So I'm going to go through his build list on the Rattler first. Going from tip to butt, he's running a Dead Air Sandman S suppressor. He's running it on a Sons of Liberty Nox muzzle device. He's got a Surefire M340 Vampire on a T-Rex Arms light bar with a Surefire pressure pad. He's running a BCM vertical grip. He's running a Holosun AEMS core, which is good for passive aiming with night vision. He's got a Magpul K2 grip on there, MCX Radiant Raptor charging handle, a SIG folding buffer tube with a Magpul CTR stock, and then he's running a Blue Force Gear Vickers sling on there. And that one looks sick. On the bottom for the MPX, it is a MPX-K, which should be the 4.5 inch barrel. It's got a Liberty Suppressor's Mystic X 9mm suppressor, and then it's underneath a Midwest Industries 10-inch rail. He's got a Holosun LS321G laser with a tape switch. It's got a Timney MPX trigger in there. It's also running a Holosun AEMS core, and that one's on a Unity riser, so also for night vision, I assume. He's got a Radiant Raptor charging handle on that one as well for the MPX. He's got a Magpul K2 XL grip, and then it's got the factory SIG collapsing stock with a T-Rex arm sling. And both of those are awesome setups. I run both of those guns myself. I don't have a suppressor on my MPX, but I actually am working on doing kind of a similar build to that bottom one. So yeah, thank you for sharing those, Daniel. They came out great. Next up, we have another nice set of twins. You guys did really good this week on the twins, so thank you guys. This comes from Andrew. We have a pair of Knights Armament guns here. Also very high-end rifles, and yeah, let me go through his build list here. So up top, it's a SR15 CQB, which is also a 2-stamp item. And then on bottom, he has an SR25 APC. So we're going to go through his SR15 first. So it's a complete Knights Armament. It's an 11.5 inch upper in 5.56. The suppressor is a Legacy Knights Armament NT4 suppressor. Those things are extremely hard to get, so congrats on having that. He's got a Knights Armament M4QD flash hider on there. It's the URX4 rail. He has a full power L3 Harris PEC 15 on top, so that's the IR laser. He's got a Mod Light PLH V2 with an Arasaka offset mount, and then it's got a Surefire UE tail cap and mod button. It's got the Irregular Defense MHS V2 hand stop on there. And then for the bolt carrier group, it says CAC downward venting carrier. CAC is in KAK. And then with the Knights Armament 3.2 bolt. It's got the factory Knights Armament iron sights. Then optic setup is a Vickers Tactical Edition Aimpoint T2 on a Castle Group FRT 226 mount and a Knights Armament battery cap, which adds an extra battery in the side. And then it's got the Knights Armament factory charging handle. And then for the lower, also Knights Armament, he's running the Geissele SSAE trigger, a forward controls design ASF 50Q safety selector. It's got a Magpul SL grip and a Magpul SLS stock. And yeah, that thing is sick. I'm very jealous of that setup. I really want one of these Knights Armament SR15 SBRs with that actual NT4 suppressor, but they're very hard to get right now. So yeah, congrats on that one. And then also hard to get, we have a Knights Armament SR25 APC. So also a factory gun. It's a 16-inch barrel in 308. It's got the Knights Armament 762 QDC 3-prong flash hider on there. He's running a URX4 rail. Also an L3 PEC 15 full power laser. A Knights Armament index hand stop. Factory Knights Armament iron sights. It's got a Badger Ordnance Condition 1 mount with a Nightforce NX8 2.5 to 20 power scope. Factory Knights charging handle. And then the lower, it's a Knights lower, Knights trigger, Knights safety, Knights Armament A2 grip, and then a B5 stop mod stock. And then he said not pictured is the Legacy Knights Armament 762 QDC CQB suppressor, also jealous. That one's an NFA gel, and then an Atlas bipod that is somewhere lost in his parts bin. Well, those are a great set of Knights Armament rifles, Andrew, so thank you for sharing those. All right, sticking with some high-end guns here, let me see what we have to work with. So we have two sets of twins here. These come from Eric, and yeah, we'll go through his first one. So in this one, these are both builds, but they're similar uppers. So I'm going to go through his build list here, starting with the top FDE gun. It's a Daniel Defense upper with a wrist 3 handguard. It's a 12.5-inch handguard. It's got a Criterion barrel with Ripcord Industries gas block, a Centurion Sandcutter bolt carrier group with a BCM bolt. It's an LWRC M6 IC lower with an LMT H3 buffer and a Springco blue spring. And then it was done by D. Wilson Manufacturing. And then on the bottom, it's a Daniel Defense 300 Blackout PDW upper with the Q Honey Badger barrel assembly. It's got a Battle Arms monolithic PDW lower. I'm going to butcher this. It's got a Shiwerks. It's SCHIWERKS, Shiwerks. I'm probably butchering that. Reptilia CQB grip. And then it's got a GSL multi-cal suppressor. So what's twins about these is they're both Daniel Defense uppers that he modified, but they look great. And then, you didn't even mention your optics on here. So optic-wise, it looks like he's got an EOTech EXPS, I assume 3.0 on the FDE one on a Unity mount. And then he's got a EOTech G33 magnifier also on a Unity mount. And then it looks like he's running a Surefire RC2 suppressor would be my guess. And then he's running a Magpul CTR stock, Geissele trigger, and it's kind of what I can see. Tango down grip. Sorry, these he didn't have in the build list. I'm just kind of calling them out. But yeah, that looks great. I really like that FDE build. And then on the bottom, he's running an Enforce light up top. It's an Aimpoint. I assume it could be like an H1 or a T series. I don't know, guys. I'm not good at calling them out. But it's got a Knights Armament battery cap. It looks like it's on a ScalarWorks mount. And then I don't know what the riser is. And then he's got a little PDW stock. I don't know who makes that one. It's not the factory Daniel Defense one. Also running a Geissele trigger. Yeah, those two are great. And then he sent us another build list. And these ones are also twin Knights Armament. So let me go through it. So up top, he has a 16-inch Knights Armament. He's running the Knights Armament PRT CRS suppressor with the shroud. It's a Primary Arms PLXC LPVO. A SIG Alpha 4 titanium scope mount, and then it was Cerakoted black. It's got a Kinetic Development Group lower with a PDQ bolt catch cut. It's also the Shiwerks Reptilia long grip, and then a LaRue trigger on this one, all the other 3 are Geissele SDE triggers. Okay, so you mentioned it in that one. And then, yeah, it looks like you mentioned everything on there, so that's good. But yeah, 16-inch Knights, and then going to the bottom, it's a Knights Armament 11.5 CQB. My shit hit the fan gun, nice. So it's the factory Knights CQB upper. It's running the Knights PRT CRS suppressor, an Aimpoint Comp M5S. It's an LMT Ambi lower, a Badger Ambi safety selector, a Magpul SLM stock, a Haley strategic sling mount and castle nut end plate, LWRC buffer tube. It's an extra heavy UCIW ultra compact buffer from Slash's heavy buffer. Slashes? I don't know, it says Slash. And then Malkov light with an Arasaka body, Surefire tail cap, and mod button pressure switch. I don't know who makes that rear sight. That rear sight does not look like a Knights, unless it's one of their micro ones. I don't know. Call out the rear sight because I don't know just by looking at it. But other than that, yeah, those all your guns here are great. So thank you for sharing those, Eric. I'm a fan. So these next set of twins come from Ben, and these are his SIG guns. So he has a SIG 5.56 rifle. That is the model, SIG 5.56. It's the American-made one. They also made these in Switzerland, but those are the 550 series. And then he also is running a SIG P220. So we'll actually go through the handgun first, since it's just the gun and the suppressor here. So for the handgun, it's a SIG P220, German-made, chambered in 45. And then he's running a rugged Obsidian 45 suppressor on there. And then a factory SIG 10-round magazine. And that one's looking sweet. And I know it's got some wear on it, but it honestly looks cool. It looks a little battle-worn. So yeah, thank you for sharing that one. And then for his rifle, again, it's a SIG 5.56 rifle. The model is just SIG 5.56. They made these in America and in Switzerland. The American ones, I believe, all take just standard AR mags, where the Swiss ones take their own proprietary mag. And going through his build list on this, he has a Yankee Hill Machine Resonator R2 suppressor on a Yankee Hill 3-port muzzle brake. He's running an MFI bipod adapter with a Versapod 150-001 bipod. He's running a SIG 3-point sling with HK style snap hooks. And then he's got a Grove Tech sling hook silencer, which is just, I think, the little bungee piece to make it not rattle so much since it's metal. He's running an EOTech 518 on there with a EOTech G45 magnifier. And then he has ETS magazines that are coupled together. And yeah, I mean, those are both great guns. I like the SIGs. I've always wanted one of these. Like, I really want a Swiss one, but I would be okay with an American-made one too. I think they did like a 5.51 that takes the fancy SIG mags, but yeah, that looks awesome. Thank you for sharing those, Ben. Next up, with another set of foreign twins, we have HKs here, and these come from Edward. We are getting a lot of cool twins here, guys. Thank you again. So from top to bottom, we have an HK91 in 308, and then we have an HK93 in 223. And yeah, let's go through it. So it's a 1981 HK91. It's a vintage pre-ban. The ban took effect in 1989. It's chambered in 308. I'm just going to go through his build list here. It's just the general build of the gun, but chambered in 308. It's got a roller delay blowback system. It's an 18-inch barrel. It's just under 11 pounds, but with the scope mount, bayonet, it's like 12 to 13 pounds. It has a 1 in 12 twist. There was 48,000 imported into the US before the 1989 ban. It has a West German issued bayonet from the mid-70s, original bipod mount, a West German issued Heinschult Z24 scope, circa 1983-ish, a German military issue Picatinny scope mount, a Para stock, which is an HK-A3 stock, and then a West German issued sling. And that thing is beautiful. I've always wanted an HK91. They're just very pricey, but I missed the day where I could have got one of these for like $2 grand. But yeah, that one's awesome. And then next up, we have the HK93, which the 93 was always more expensive than the 91 because there's way less of them here in the country. And it looks like he also has that information as well. So again, HK93, chambered in 223. Also the roller lock delay blowback system. It's got a 16-inch barrel, a 1 in 12 twist, which I didn't know these had a 1 in 12 twist. That is a long twist rate for a 5.56. So I assume you want to be shooting like 55 grain or less. It's 8.5 pounds, 18,000 imported to the US before the 1989 ban. It's also got the Para A3 stock on there, original bipods, and a West German issued sling. And again, these come from Edward from AZ Cactus Tac. I believe he has a YouTube channel as well. And yeah, I really like those. Thank you again for sharing. Guys, I swear I do this just in the order that I receive them in, and this comes from Oliver, and it's the newer version of the HKs. We have the HK MR556 and the HK MR762. I'm just doing these in the order that I see them in. Like, you guys are seeing these firsthand as I am, so that's awesome. So I'm going to start with the HK MR556 first, and going from his build list, he's got a Streamlight ProTac rail mount HLX. It's got a CV Life carbon fiber tilt bipod. It's 6 to 9 inches with the Picatinny adapter that's not pictured. It's got Magpul M-Lock rail covers on there, an HK Parts vertical grip, a Vortex Strike Eagle 1 to 8 by 24. It's the first focal plane with the EBR8 MOA reticle, and then a Vortex Cantilever 30mm mount. He's running a Holosun 507C on a True Glow offset mount. It's got a Magpul magazine on there, a Magpul sling. I think that's the Magpul K2 grip, and then the factory HK stock. So thank you for sharing that one. And then next up we have his HK MR762 chambered in 308. He's also got the Streamlight ProTac HLX light. It's got ultra light flip up 45-degree offset front and rear sights. It's got an Accutac BR4 G2 quick detach bipod, an HK Parts vertical grip, an Arken Optics EPL 4 to 16 by 44. It's first focal plane, MOA, VHR illuminated reticle. It's got an Arken Optics rigid precision scope mount. It's the 30mm. Also their throw lever, and then it's got a Vortex bubble level on there. It's got the HK 417/G28 style buttstock, a Blue Force Gear padded sling, and then suppressor-wise, he's got a Cat ODB 718QD in jail. But yeah, those are awesome. Thank you for sharing those, Oliver. All right, so our next builds come from BK, and we have yet another set of European guns. We have the B&T APC 308 and the B&T GHM-9C. So we're going to go with the 308 first. So going from their build list here, we have a Nightforce NX8 2.5 to 20 by 50mm scope. And then it says F1 mil C on an Arken Optics rigid precision mount. It's got a Vortex Crossfire 2 red dot on an Arisaka offset mount. It's got a Samson M-Lock vertical grip. It's running a Cloud Defensive Rain 3.0 and a V8 Atlas bipod. And other than that, I think it's all just factory B&T internally on the gun. But the APCs are great. I've never shot the 308, but I have shot some of the other calibers, and they are sweet. And next up we have the GHM-9C-G, and it's a Gen 2 chambered in 9mm. He's running a Holosun HS510C, a Surefire X300 light, and then a GHM-9 telescoping brace adapter with a Gearhead Works Tailhook Mod 1C brace. And yeah, I mean, both of those are awesome. The only thing it looks like we might be missing would be slings, but maybe he has slings that aren't pictured. So thank you for sharing those ones, BK. And then we actually have another set of twins, and these are Daniel Defenses. So up top, we have a Daniel Defense V7, and then on the bottom, we have a Daniel Defense PDW in 300 Blackout. We're going to go with the V7 first. So it's a factory Daniel Defense V7 in the Mil-Spec Plus color. It's chambered in 5.56, so the Mil-Spec Plus is just the brown color. He's got a Vortex Razor HD Gen 2. It's a 1 to 6 on an American Defense Recon H quick release mount. And then it's got a Vortex Switch View throw lever. It's got a Zenitco Purse 4 Gen 3 on there. That's the laser. It's running a Streamlight ProTac HLX with an Arisaka offset scout mount. And yeah, I mean, that thing looks beautiful. Other than that, I think it's all factory Daniel Defense, but the color scheme looks really good on there. And then the color scheme looks good on the PDW as well. So again, it's a Daniel Defense PDW chambered in 300 Blackout. It's got an EOTech EXPS 3-4 Optics Planet Edition with the EOTech G33 magnifier. And then it's got a Surefire M640U Scout Light Pro with a Surefire DSTN rail cap on there and a Surefire SR07 switch. It's got Magpul MBUS Pro steel iron sights on there. It's got a Magpul MOE Plus grip, an AT3 Tactical M-Lock angled foregrip, a Surefire SOCOM muzzle brake, and a Surefire SOCOM RC2 mini suppressor. And I assume that's a 7.62 mini suppressor since it's 300 Blackout. But yeah, I really like those builds. Oh, and then you didn't mention, but it looks like you have a Magpul MS4 QD sling on there. But yeah, I mean, that thing looks great. So thank you for sharing all your guns, BK. All right, these next guns come from Jacob, and these are father-son twin guns. So for the bigger rifle in the back, it is a Savage Mark II VF SR in 22. It's got a rugged Obsidian 9 suppressor on there, a Harris bipod, a Boyd's Varmint Pro stock, a Vortex Diamondback 4-12x40 scope with Leopold low scope rings, and then it's got a Diversified Innovative Products tactical trigger guard, which is not pictured. So chambered in 22, but that's the bigger rifle. And then up front, we have the Savage Rascal 22. It's got a Silencer Co. Sparrow 22 suppressor on there. It's got a Blackhawk bipod, a Boyd's Tactical stock, an Aim Sport 4x32 scope with the Aim Sport scope rings, and other than that, the rest is all factory. But those look awesome, and I bet they're very quiet to shoot, because again, they're 22. If you run subsonic ammo through there, especially like the CCI Quiet, I got a bolt action 22 just to run that ammo suppressed. It is insanely quiet, quieter than a BB gun or any pellet gun. So yeah, those look great. Thank you for sharing, Jacob. All right, so this next picture comes from Sean, and it's vertical, so I'm gonna have to turn it horizontal so you guys can see it, but I only have the one picture to go with. So top is gonna be left for you guys. And I'm gonna go through this kind of quickly because there's a lot here. So it looks like he has a couple pair of twins here. So from the far left for you guys, we have the SIG Spear 11.5 SBR with a Velo suppressor, mod light, castle mount, Aimpoint T2, Unity fast riser, EOTech G43 magnifier, Geisley single stage trigger, a die-free Kung Fu grip, Magpul CTR stock with an irregular defense riser, and then the twin to that would be the SIG Macro with a Radian 365 comp, the Streamlight on there, Holosun EPS carry, and then a Radian magwell. And then next up, we have a Noveske 11.5 SBR. It's got a CGS Psi-6 suppressor with a castle mount. It's got an EOTech die-free Kung Fu grip, Rise armament trigger, B5 Bravo stock, a Law tactical folder, and then a regular defense riser. And then the twin to that one is the Ghetto Blaster we have at home. So it's a build AR, it looks like. It's got a Q Trash Panda suppressor, castle mount, castle offset, Aimpoint Comp M5, Aimpoint Acro P2, Q Shorty stock, a die-free Kung Fu grip, and then a Geisley Tricon trigger. And then we have a pair of handguns. It's a Beretta Bobcat 22 with a Maximum Defense MS22 suppressor. And then next to it, we have a Beretta M9A4 with a rugged Obsidian suppressor, running a Holosun 507 and then some goon tape. And then lastly, we have a pair of Daniel Defenses. So we have a Daniel Defense Wrist 3 with a Yankee Hill Turbo T3 suppressor, a castle mount, Aimpoint T2. It's got a Noveske chainsaw lower, a die-free Kung Fu grip, Rise armament trigger, B5 Bravo stock, and a Law tactical folder with a irregular defense riser. And then next up, we have the Wrist 2 with a Yankee Hill Turbo K suppressor, Unity mount. It's got an EOTech, Aero Precision lower, a Bravo SOP mod stock, a Law tactical folder, irregular defense riser, a Rise armament trigger, and a die-free Kung Fu grip. I know I went through these fast, but it's kind of the only way to make it fair because that's 6 guns. But thank you for sharing, Sean. Sorry if I ran through it. I did just go through the build list he has here, so I didn't really go past the detail that he said. So, but yeah, thank you for sharing those. All right, these next guns come from Wenley, and this is their twin Glock 19s. So the first one is a 19M Gen 5, which was made for the FBI. So theirs is just a factory MOS 19M. It has a Mariglow 506 backup iron sights on there, a forward controls plate. It's got a Streamlight TLR7 HLX on there, and then a Trijicon RCR, which is their enclosed red dot. And then the next one is a Glock 19 Gen 5 MOS. And then this one has a Holosun EPS, night vision sights. It's got an Amazon DPP plate that's surprisingly very tight, no wiggle at all from the plate, so that's good. And then a Streamlight TLR7A. And they said, these are my only 2 pistols. I'm focused on quality over quantity. And then I'm planning on getting a Daniel Defense DDM4 or a BCM Recce in the near future. Well, I mean, that's great. Those are both great handguns. I actually really like that 19M. And then, yeah, Daniel Defense or BCM, I would say they are about equal. Like, I have no complaints with either one. I think anyone would agree that either of those would be a great first AR. So, yeah, thank you for sharing, Wenley. All right, next up we have yet another set of Knights Armament twins. It looks like these are running LMT lowers, but I'll go through their build list. This comes from Jason, and I'm going to say his description here. So the bottom is stripped down a bit for weight for the tactical games, and their wife is going to be running the bottom rifle, and they'll be running the top rifle. And I mean, yeah, that's awesome. The 14.5 will get all the accessories I listed added back after the tactical games. Just wanted to take the extra weight off of her, which makes sense. Yeah, I get that. If you haven't done the tactical games, you should look into it. It's very fun. I've done it twice now, and I would highly recommend it. Definitely puts your body and all your gear to the test. So we're going to start from top to bottom. So up top, we have a Knights Armament 11.5 CQB Mod 2 SBR. It's got a Mod Tac carbon suppressor cover, a Rearden manufacturer hub mount and muzzle brake. It's got a Silencer Co. Velos K suppressor, a Mod Light PLH V2 light with a mod button. It's an Irregular Defense hand stop, Unity optic mount with a Holosun 515. It's got a Unity flip to center mount with an EOTech G45 magnifier. It's got forward controls EPC dust cover. It's running a LMT Mars lower, a Geissele SSAE-X lightning bow trigger, a Reptilia CQG grip, and then a Magpul stock. And you did not mention your sling on that one. I don't know that sling off the top of my head. Sorry about that. But yeah, that looks great. And then next up on the bottom, we have a Knights Armament 14.5 Carbine Mod 2 upper. So these next three items are not on the gun, but they have a Mod Tac suppressor cover, a Silencer Co. Velos suppressor, and then a Mod Light OKW light. So those are stripped off for the tactical games for weight reduction, which again makes sense. It's got an Irregular Defense hand stop. It's got a Reptilia cantilever mount with a Vortex Gen 3 1-10 LPVO. It's also running an Aimpoint P2 on top. It's a forward controls EPC dust cover. It's got an LMT Mars lower. It's got a Geissele SSAE-X lightning bow trigger, the Reptilia CQG grip, and then a Magpul stock. And then I also don't know the sling on that one. If you guys know them, comment down below. But yeah, both of those are amazing builds. And I'm actually running my Knights Armament kind of similar, not necessarily in the build factor, but I'm running a Knights Armament upper on an LMT Mars lower as well. Mainly because the Knights uppers are so hard to get or they're very expensive. But yeah, I like both of those, and good luck on the tactical games. I know you guys will have a lot of fun, so yeah, good luck and thank you for sharing. All right, these next ones come from Aiden, and we have more Knights Armament. Dang, I'm so jealous of all you guys with all these Knights twins. I don't have Knights twins. So we have a SR25 and an SR15. They are sent as separate pictures, so let me go through them individually. So for the SR25, I'm going to go through their build list in order. They have a Leupold Mark V HD. It's the 3.6 to 18 power scope on an ADM manufacturing mount, so American Defense Manufacturing. It's got a Magpul MS4 sling. It's got the Knights Armament 7.62 QDC CRS PRG suppressor, so I believe that's their new flow-through ones. It's got a Magpul M-LOK bipod, a civilian PEQ-15, which means it's probably the AT-PLC. And then it's got all the other parts are factory Knights Armament, so trigger. It does have a Magpul stock on there. That's the STR, I believe. But other than that, yeah, Knights Armament flip-up sights, those come factory. Their safety, their trigger, those are both very nice parts as well. And then I assume their charging handle. But yeah, that thing is very nice. Thank you for sharing that one. And then next up, we have the SR15 CQB SBR. This one has an EOTech EXPS3 on there. It's got a Magpul M-LOK hand stop, a Mod Light emitter and body with a Surefire tail cap and pressure pad. And then they are working on getting a Knights Armament suppressor for that one. And then they are running a Radian Raptor charging handle. Yeah, that one looks great as well. And it looks like it would be a factory SBR, which is awesome. I'd like to get one of these. I know we went through them kind of quick, but I mean, that's the nice thing with Knights Armament. Like, they are a top tier rifle. There's really nothing to do out of the box. You buy their gun, ideally you buy their suppressor, and then whatever accessories, and that's it. You already get like nice QD points built in for slings, you get the nice trigger, nice charging handle, nice sights, safety selector. Like, that is the whole thing with these guns, is they are meant to be ready to go out of the box. So, but yeah, thank you for sharing, Aiden, and good luck on getting your suppressor for the SR15. All right, this next set of twins comes from Tac Driver, and these are their BCM twins. So I'm going to go from the top rifle first. It's the BCM 14.5-inch upper with the Keymod rail, and it's got the 14.5 ELW mid-length barrel with a pin and weld battle comp on there. It's got the BCM bolt carrier group and charging handle. And then lower is also BCM. It's got their lower parts kit, their receiver extension, a JP tune and polish buffer spring, an H1 buffer. It's got a Geissele SD 3-gun trigger, and then a BCM Mod 3 grip and a B5 Bravo stock. And then do you have your accessories? Yes, you do. And then they are running a PEC 15A on there, an Insight M3X LED, an Insight dual pressure pad. It's got Daniel Defense front iron sight, a Trijicon TA33, a Mawtec rear sight, and a Blue Force gear sling. And that looks awesome. It's kind of like old meets modern, because I know those Insight lights are kind of cool. A lot of people use them for clones, but yeah, that looks great on there. And then going to their next build, they have a BCM Mark II upper with a 14.5 standard mid-length barrel with a pin and weld, and it's got the Dead Air Chemo flash hider on there. It's the BCM MCMR rail, which is the M-Lock rail. The other one was Keymod. It's got a BCM bolt carrier group, the standard charging handle with the PRI latch. It's the BCM lower. It's their lower parts kit and receiver extension. Also a JP tune and polish buffer spring, H2 buffer. It's got an ALG QMS trigger with the JP spring kit. It's got an ergo grip and a BCM stock. And the accessories on this one, they have an Arisaka light with a Malkov head and a Unity mod button. It's got Magpul MBUS Pro iron sights, a Skeet IR thermal with Wilcox flip to side mount, a Trijicon Credo 1:8x28 on a Badger C1 mount, and then a VTAC sling. And I bet that thermal optic is a lot of fun to shoot through. So yeah, I've only shot with thermal a handful of times, but it's very cool. So yeah, thank you for sharing those. Those are awesome. And again, those come from Tac Driver. And then lastly, we have a very nice set of SIGs from Carlos here. So we have the SIG Spear and the Spear LT. So we're going to start with their 308 on the bottom. So it's the SIG Spear in 308. It's running a Huxworks Flow 762 suppressor. It's got a Q hub adapter on there and a Q cherry bomb. It's a Magpul vertical grip. Actually, you put Magpul vertical grip, but that's actually BCM. It's a BCM grip. It's got an EOTech EXPS 2.0 on there with the EOTech G33 magnifier. It's got a Geissele MCX trigger, a Reptilia grip, and a Blue Force gear sling. Other than that, it's all factory SIG. They use the Magpul stock, and yeah, I mean, that's a beast of a gun. I really want to get one of those. I know I want every gun, guys, but that's just the reality of it. They're all awesome. That's my problem. And then next up, he has the SIG Spear LT. You didn't mention a caliber, but it looks like it's 5.56, and it also looks like it's an 11.5-inch barrel. So it's got a PTR Vent 2 suppressor, a Rearden titanium hub with a Q cherry bomb muzzle brake. It's got an EOTech EXPS 3.0 with a multicam Ranger wrap, a Geissele SSA trigger, a Midwest Industries Alpha stock. It's got an Emissary grip and a Blue Force gear sling. And yeah, both of those look great. Looks like the only thing you're missing on them would be lights. And I honestly think Cloud Defensive or Mod Light makes really good lights for those. So yeah, thank you for sharing, Carlos. And that's a strong finish to this week's viewer build video. So thank you guys to everyone that shared those. Thank you again to everyone that participated. And yeah, those were some really good builds. We got a lot of high-end stuff. And even the stuff that's not high-end, it was still awesome to see. So thank you again. And if you're looking to participate in next week's video, the theme is going to be shotgun. So any shotgun, anything that shoots a gauge, 410 gauge, 12 gauge, 16 gauge, 28 gauge, 10 gauge, whatever. Just something shotgun related. Speaking of shotguns, I actually have a pretty cool one that's on the way. I bought a Benelli M1 Super 90 SBS, so it's a 14-inch barrel. I don't know how soon you guys are going to see it on the channel, but I am excited to get that one. So yeah, that'll be coming here soon. But I do have my little Serbu Super Shorty here. This is a 6.5-inch 12 gauge. And then I have my 14-inch Mossberg here. This is the 590 Shockwave, and this one's the Marine Magnum. All it is like the Marine finish on the receiver, but super cool shotgun, and I like it. I've shot it on the channel before. And yeah, so if you want to participate in next week's video, take a picture, or a horizontal picture, it shows best. And yeah, just tell me about your shotgun. It can be a build. I know there's not as much to talk about with shotguns, but yeah, I mean, if you have multiple shotguns, you can put them in the same picture. If you do multiple, ideally put them in the same picture, because if we just have one after another, it might get a little repetitive. But yeah, or just show one, doesn't matter, but just talk about your shotgun, make, model, and then if you have anything done to it, just talk about it from tip to butt. This one doesn't have a butt, but still got a grip here. And yeah, this one is sweet. I've done videos on this on the channel as well, so go check those out. And you're gonna send the pictures to sales@atroxco.com. That's my email. Again, horizontal, and just describe it. I look forward to seeing your guys' shotguns, and stay tuned for my next video.